Is this you? Mario Kart can be quite luck-based at times, like really luck-based. So luck-based that we have the term getting Mario Karted to describe someone getting absolutely slammed by items out of their control. But if there's one thing that's always in your control, it's your driving, and the issue that might be holding you back the most likely lies in this little thing. Now look, I know that sounds strange, but hear me out for a second. There's a special technique you can use on ramps that can save you a bunch of time that the community dubs mini turbo tricking. A mini turbo trick is performed by releasing your charged mini turbo just before you trick. Doing this grants you a huge burst of speed that's way faster than just tricking off the ramp normally. Sounds simple, right? Well, what if I told you there are more ways to use this technique? 3 to be exact. So in this video, I'll be teaching you how to learn these techniques so you can beat all your friends in the children's kart racer. Dang, that sounds kinda sad. Starting off, we have the first and simplest technique, the regular mini turbo trick. Like I said earlier, you perform this by releasing your mini turbo right before you trick. This technique is applicable on most trick ramps and saves a bunch of time compared to not using the trick at all. A great way to practice this technique is to just try and use it whenever you see a trick ramp. Trial and error is always the best way to actually learn things. The next step is to try watching world record time trials, like this one of F on Waluigi Stadium, and try to use mini turbo tricks when they do. One tip you might need for this technique is to make sure you're very aware of the direction you're going when you trick, since having a bad angle can be extremely punishing and will likely end up making you lose a bunch of time. Remember that if your alignment looks weird, you can hop repeatedly in the other direction to fix your alignment, which is known as a counter hop. Oh, and fun fact, you can also do this on glider ramps as well, which is actually faster than just tricking off the glider ramp normally, but in most cases it's just faster to release your mini turbo as the glider activates, like so. Moving on to the next technique, we have launch tricking. This right here is the reason why the last technique is only applicable on most trick ramps. This is probably the most specific technique on this list, so feel free to skip it. A launch trick is performed by activating a Y drift to the left or right, releasing it, tricking, and snapping your analog stick to the opposite direction of your drift, giving you a huge burst of speed. Here it is in full speed. Sounds like a lot, right? Well, that's because it kinda is, so let's slow down a bit. You can only do launch tricks on launch ramps, which are usually just really long trick ramps, like the one at the beginning of Rosalina's Ice World, and the one at the end of Hyrule Circuit. You can still do this on regular trick ramps, but you won't save any time over just regularly tricking. If you want to practice this technique, try playing Rosalina's Ice World, since there are 2 vital launch tricks on the track at the beginning and at the end. A small tip for this technique is to always be thinking proactively about how you're going to perform the trick itself, and where you'll land right after. And if you ever find yourself confused on what is a launch trick and what isn't in the midst of a race, just do a launch trick anyways, since you won't lose any time. Our final technique is the super bounce. This technique is only applicable on track elements known as bounce pads that are characterized by their bouncy nature. You can do a super bounce by charging a mini turbo, usually off a ramp in most cases, releasing it right before you hit the bounce pad, and then tricking, which gives you a ginormous boost forward. This trick is incredibly important, especially on Mushroom Gorge, where it not only sets you up well for the extremely vital gap jump, which saves a total of 6 seconds over the course of the entire race, but not super bouncing loses approximately 9 seconds, which is a horrible time loss. You can use the super bounce on every bounce pad. See that flower over there? Super bounce. That tambourine over there? You guessed it, you can super bounce off of it. And that normal looking tram over there? Yup, you can super bounce off it too. If you want to practice this technique, I recommend time trialing Mushroom Gorge, since there are 3 sections of the track where you can perform a super bounce. And one tip for this technique is that if you often find yourself getting a horrible alignment after a super bounce, try to aim for the far right of the bounce pad. This should help your alignment a bit. Phew, that was a lot, wasn't it? Well, that's completely normal. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a very technical game when you really get into it, and the path to being the best is incredibly grueling and difficult. But if you're looking for a way to get a quick edge on your casual friends, and even your low-level competitive ones, I'm sure learning these techniques will help. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe. I'm a brand new channel that really wants to grow, so your support is very much appreciated. Excellent rest of your day. Ciao!